Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including but not limited to swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children. Hello, and welcome to BiblioWrecks. I'm Bugs.
And I'm Bam Bam.
And we read the worst stories the world has to offer. And today we are looking at...
Human Fish by Benjamin Devos.
Oh, you told me about this one.
Mm-hmm.
You said it was weird.
Yep, it is a new twist on the mermaid narrative.
Aha.
Now, I don't know what general mermaid narrative there is other than, like, The Little Mermaid.
Right.
Or just through Greek mythology, so I don't know which one of those it's turning on its head right now.
Okay, kind of like Twilight was a twist on more of the Anne Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Vampires versus, like, Bram Stoker.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I don't know what it's kind of pulling off of, but it's a real weird one.
Fun.
Yeah. I found this book by looking up publisher, because I've started looking up books by publisher now.
Mm-hmm.
This one falls into a genre called Bizzarro fiction.
Okay.
And I found it on Eraserhead Press.
Oh.
I don't know if you know anything about Eraserhead. It's this really weird black and white movie from like the, I think like the 50s or 60s.
No, I've never heard of that.
It's a real weird horror. I've never watched it. I've only seen like clips of it, and all the clips are weird.
No, I haven't heard of that. Eraserhead?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just this guy with a real weird haircut, and everybody's just weird.
Okay.
All the acting choices are just, I mean, it's Bizzarro, as is apropos here.
Okay, gotcha.
So I haven't quite nailed down this genre. In it, some things are just super weird and are barely acknowledged, and other things are also weird, and it brings in like realistic scrutiny on just certain things that are weird. It just kind of plays with that concept kind of loosely, so...
Okay, so like some of it, you're kind of breaking the fourth wall where the people experiencing it are like, yeah, this is weird. Mm-hmm. And then other times they are like, yeah, this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
No comment.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So, we start the story by following the human fish.
Mm-hmm.
And the human fish is his name. That is what he is called for the entire story.
First human, last fish.
Mm-hmm. Nope, just one word.
Oh, he doesn't have a last name?
No, he was raised in the ocean by his trout mother. It's real weird. He is a half man, half trout hybrid.
So he had a human father and a trout mother.
Yep.
Okay.
And he grows up in the ocean.
Okay.
So we begin with him working at an aquarium, and he's just hanging out in the dolphin pool, just sitting there smoking cigarettes, and people are watching him.
What does he look like?
It seems like from the neck down, he's mostly normal human, but he's got like webbed toes and scales and stuff. But up top, I think it's just a real weird, awful fish head. I don't think it gives like a really distinct description of him.
And he can breathe air or water?
Yes.
Oh.
He does have gills.
Oh.
Mm. Oh. And he also has regular lungs.
Huh.
Yeah. So, to start off with, every bit of the language to describe like every setting in this book, I think it's used to make the reader feel just a bit icky. Mm-hmm. Like all of the descriptions, everything is described as stained or grimy or falling apart in some way. And that's all on the human side of the world.
All right.
Because he's coming from the ocean and everything's just kind of compared.
Oh, like, are we inside his head? Is he narrating?
No.
But it's from his perspective?
Yeah, is that third person? Third person limited? I can't remember.
I don't know the technical name for it.
Yeah, I can't either. But yeah, while he's in this pool, the human fish offers a child that walks up to the tank a puff off of a cigarette. And the mother of the kid comes up and pulls the kid away and is like, "You're a lousy role model."
Mm-hmm.
And that's a continuing theme in this book is role models.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Where in time are we?
Oh, I think it's just a contemporary time.
Okay. People have cell phones.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So this lady says a line about the role models, and he reflects that he doesn't even know what a role model is.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like...
He's not raised in a human environment.
Right. He is raised kind of alien, and a lot of the story is him being a fish out of water. I hope you like that one, because there's a lot of those.
Oh, no. It's only funny when I do it.
So we do a swish and a doodly-doo. We're going to go back to him growing up in the ocean.
Okay.
So, human fish grew up taken care of by his overbearing trout mother.
Shakes her fin at him. Getting it back home by supper time.
Well, the part of her that makes her overbearing is her being very suspicious of the human world.
So these trout have sentience.
Somewhat.
And a society.
Kind of, yeah. This one does anyway.
I didn't think trout raised their babies.
They don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're completely building a fictional underwater world too.
Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm.
It's... like, some things are, like, real accurate to real life because it goes into some of the anatomy stuff, but other times it just doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay.
There's magic and ghosts in this story.
I mean,
yeah.
I can suspend disbelief, if we're going to work with this premise.
Right, you just gotta have
I just need to
foreknowledge
know,
and have it established. Yeah.
what this premise is.
Yeah, I don't know what the premise is. I think the main moral of the story is about role models, but I'm confused by it. It's real weird. So, the human fish grows up curious about the human world, but anytime he asks his mom about it, she always clams up. Okay. Other fish grow up calling him land bastard.
Oh, that's funny, I guess.
Yeah, because he's very clearly not just a fish.
Wouldn't he have a hard time swimming and keeping up with them with, like, human legs?
Probably. It doesn't really come up, because
Oh.
I guess he's just swimming around, and maybe he's just slower than all the other fish. I don't know.
How big do trout get? Are these, like, human-sized trout?
Oh, sea trout can get pretty large, actually.
Oh, these are... Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're in the ocean. I
Okay.
think sea trout can get... I've seen
I'm just
them...
imagining, like, a creek, like, where
Oh, yeah.
we live, like, a human-sized man swimming alongside, 18-inch fish.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Trout are actually a relative to salmon, and part of a salmon's life cycle is going into the ocean, and trout have a similar thing.
Okay. I don't know much about fish.
Yeah, you don't need to. A lot of it doesn't matter. He grows up with everyone just kind of treating him weird, like all the elder fish just think he's like a weird conglomerate of human semen and fish scales. is the wording of the book. It's yeah, just a weird. There are a lot of sentences in here I'm just like, that's a weird amalgamation of words. I don't know how to handle that. He starts getting into like a teen phase and begins hanging out with sharks, and no one trusts sharks, and because they're bad people, I guess. I don't know.
Fish are friends, not food.
So then he starts hanging out with a sea turtle. Yeah, the thing with the sharks, I guess that's just kind of like, I think sharks are like the gangbangers of the ocean is what it's trying to do.
Because they're the predators or whatever.
I guess, which, I mean, they're all predators to some degree.
I know,
like trouts are also predators.
Most fish, unless they eat algae, most of them eat other smaller organisms.
Yeah, so strange, but whatever. So he starts hanging out with a sea turtle, and they find a bag of drugs underwater.
Okay.
Presumably cocaine.
Okay.
Which they use and start selling to other fish and hermit crabs and stuff.
Underwater.
Underwater, yeah. Which it's kind of funny because it's described as like the white sand, and anytime they go to use it, they just kind of waft it up in the water, and it just kind of clouds up around them, and they like breathe it in. So that's kind of neat.
Oh, okay. Yes, sure. Mm-hmm.
So the turtle is using drugs so that he can be fast like other reptiles. until he eventually ODs and the human fish finds him.
Oh my god! Wait, what? He
Yeah.
overdoses on cocaine.
Yeah, he's like, I guess that's the turtle's obsession, is he wants to be faster, and I think it says like he loses weight but maintains speed or something like that. So I guess that's just his thing. He's like racing other reptiles or something.
I mean, wouldn't he just be racing other ocean turtles?
I don't know. Maybe some marine iguanas or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there are sea snakes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So, Turtle dies, and everyone starts looking for Turtle, and the human fish is nervous about this. He's worried about some vague consequences, but we're never told what those consequences are.
I mean, do they have laws under the ocean?
Does
Do
not
they
go
have
into it.
Anti-drug legislation?
Like the whole thing under the ocean, I feel like is just trying to be a metaphor for childhood or something. Because you didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and then you grow up and you end up in the real world, quote unquote. And that's, I think, is the human world. I'm not sure. It's all guess. He lies to his mother and tells her that he's going on a divine mission from Poseidon to find out who his father is. Because anytime he ever asked about his father, his mom clams that, yeah. So I'm going to put emphasis on this. He takes the money he'd saved from selling drugs, goes to California, and tries to live as a human. So upon arrival, he goes to a surf shop because as soon as he gets up above the water, his eyes start bugging out and getting all weird because he's not underwater anymore. So he goes to the surf shop and buys a swimsuit, goggles, and a pair of flippers to hide his weird feet because he's also ashamed of his feet all of a sudden. I don't know. He spends like a couple of months living out of the garbage and sleeping in the McDonald's ball pit. I don't know whether the gross part of that is that there's a human fish in the ball pit or that someone is sleeping in the ball pit, because ball pits are just inherently gross.
Yeah, ball pits are disgusting.
So at this point, the human fish learns that he needs to get a job after observing people and understanding that to maintain a lifestyle at all, they have to have a job. And then there's this line: capitalism was a foreign concept, but the human fish knew he had to learn to live like a human. It was a classic sink or swim scenario.
Oh, but capitalism. If he didn't understand,
Yeah, he's already participated in capitalism.
Yeah, because if
he was selling drugs, and then when he got on land, he bought clothes and goggles and stuff.
Right, and you wouldn't know to do those things if you didn't understand capitalism to a degree.
Right. I think it's just to try to establish that he's kind of alien to the human world, and I feel like it could have been done better than just bringing up capitalism and being like, oh, he doesn't know how capitalism works, even though he's already done it a couple of times already.
Okay.
So, yeah, this entire story may just be a vehicle for fish puns. I'm not sure.
But also, I guess, if it is more of an allegory of from childhood to adulthood, little kids buy and sell, but they don't really understand the concept of you have to get a job, you have to have a house, you have to have a car, you have
Money
to have
is just
insurance.
a means to an end for you to buy a toy or candy or something.
And it's usually a very temporary effort to get a temporary reward.
Yeah.
It's not that long-term foresight and effort that you have to exert as an adult.
Yeah, so that may
kinda
be
makes
what,
sense.
Yeah, that may be what the story is doing. I don't know how much to actually credit this author or not.
Right.
So the human fish starts by just going around and repeatedly asking people, can I have a job? Can I have a job? Can I have a job? Until someone finally tells him about the internet. And he goes to a library where he destroys a computer because he doesn't understand computers, because he's just trying to get to the internet.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he gets arrested and tased. And after a night in jail with Tipsy the drunken suicidal clown, he gets released because a fan posted his bail.
He has fans?
Overnight he has gotten fans. there has been a protest that has broken out to release him outside of the police station.
People appreciated his destruction of public property?
Maybe? I don't know. It's really weird. Like, I can understand it if he's like a novel creature in this world. Mm-hmm. Which at first you kind of think he is, but later in the story, it's a little less novel.
Because going into this, it sounds like he's the only one.
Right, and that's the
and that
impression
would
you get.
mean people would be like, oh, wow, this guy looks weird. And that's why he wears goggles and flippers all the time. So I could see, hey, leave the poor fish man alone. Like, if you have, like, that guy that you always see around town, you buy him a coffee, he asks to bum a cigarette, and then you find out that guy got arrested, and you can get together the community and say, hey, he's mostly harmless.
Yeah.
He just, got
He was
drunk
just
this
drunk,
night. Yeah, can we just get him out and we'll try to help him? I could see it being that, but I don't hear anything in this story establishing a community around him.
Yeah, all I said before this was him just going up on land and sleeping in a ball pit and eating
asking,
out of the garbage.
Can I have a job? Like, that's not how you develop those community connections.
Right. Which I think part of it is kind of like a conservation thing because he's part trout. And
Okay, that is funny.
because he go on his way out, an aquarium owner who is a part of some kind of wild local fish conservation effort, he meets with the human fish and offers him a job at the aquarium. Mm-hmm. And that's one of his thing is he cites that he's part of this conservation effort, and it would give him a lot of popularity with other conservationists. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why he's popular. Maybe everyone just thinks he's neat because he's a fish, not because he's part human. Human fish.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
If a human dodo went and got a job at the bookstore, I would absolutely
I'd go to
become
the
a
bookstore,
fan
yeah.
of the human dodo. If it was like something that was extinct or on the brink of extinction and it came back as a half human hybrid, that would get so much fandom.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, human fish gets an apartment, health insurance with both a doctor and a veterinarian, etc., etc. So he starts sinking into a nihilistic depression at this point. He gets bummed out because of pollution and for some reason pet dogs specifically. Like he's bummed out about pets in general, but specifically dogs because I don't know why it says when he sees people go out and walk their dogs and pick up their shit, it makes him angry. And I got
nothing. I don't know.
I couldn't make heads or tails of it. He's also anxious about the sun, not for the reason you'd think.
Oh, I was going to say,
it's not because he's going to dry out. Yeah,
I was going to say. I mean, if I was a fish or a frog man, I would probably be anxious about the sun too.
That is a worry, but that's not his. That's not his nihilistic anxiety about it. In the ocean, they all thought that the sun was God.
Oh. Okay.
And he came up on land and got explained that it isn't. It's just a totally other unexplainable thing to him.
Right.
And he's just unsettled by it.
Did they think the sun was Poseidon?
It doesn't say that. Like, every depiction of Poseidon has never been the sun, so I don't know.
Right, but if I thought that you mentioned Poseidon earlier, was that their fish god?
I mean, Poseidon is like a deity in Greek mythology. Like, he's never been the deity or anything, but maybe he is. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's two disparate details that may have never meant to come in contact with one another. Okay. I'm not sure. Also, the turtle is haunting him.
A ghost turtle.
Ghost turtle, yep. He'll just swim around the room and bother him at night.
Oh.
And he's going through a hard time. So
yeah, this all sounds very depressing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. So he starts getting like ocean-themed tattoos. Like he gets an anchor and something else, fish hook piercings. Starts playing like moody emo music at night and starts going to a strip club. So human fish gets addicted to fast food and starts developing purple blistering fish acne that will just pop at random intervals.
And it's just to be gross.
I think it's just to be gross. Well, I think it's also to just kind of the grossness of being an adult. Like, just some things are just grosser than what they were when you were a kid.
I mean, this really sounds like he is trying to take, like, a conservation of the species angle.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know
And the
what.
dangers of modern life.
There are, like, a lot of, like, weird through lines of just, like, conservationism in this, and I don't know how to handle them in this situation. So, one day, Human Fish goes to the Bearded Clam, and that's the strip club. Do you
Oh,
do you get it? Do you
yes,
get
I get it.
Okay. Well, I didn't have to
No,
explain
you
that
don't
one.
have to explain that
I've been
one.
stressing about that since I.
No,
So
that is so stupid.
it really is, and not original either. I'm pretty sure there's like a movie that had that. But anyway, so he goes into the strip club and he starts describing how gross it is and starts describing some of the dancers. And I don't think he does this to be mean, because later on he does remark that all of the women in there are beautiful in their own way. He describes this stripper named Pimples.
That's not a good stripper name.
It's not.
That's bad.
A pouty, emaciated ex-cheerleader whose diet comprised of weight loss pills and corn chips. Part of her shtick was rubbing the corn chips into her face until the crumpled chips fell into her blemishes.
Gross.
Yeah, it's real gross. I don't know who this is for, other than just to be upsetting.
I think it's meant to upset you.
Yeah,
Did it succeed?
It succeeds.
Good.
Yeah, it succeeds at that a lot. Like, if that was
okay.
the entire intention here, which I feel like it is,
Yeah.
it's very successful on that front.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So he especially likes a girl named Destiny that works there, who he keeps describing with nautical terms, like the sculpt of her bust heaved like octopus heads on the verge of popping.
I can't see pictures in my head.
It's
But
not.
that's
I
still
think
upsetting.
exclusively in pictures, and that's bothersome.
That's still upsetting. Like that, I can't really imagine what that looks like, but it's upsetting.
It's not positive. So they trade stories. And I gotta stop saying "so" at the beginning of my sentences. I've started noticing them, and I have to like cut them out.
I've been working really hard to not begin my sentences.
it's hard.
So.
They trade stories and flirt, and realize they have a lot in common. Actually,
She's half beagle.
nope.
Oh.
She's just a lady. But they were raised by single parents, and both of them have a bad history with drugs. So the Human Fish tells her about the turtle haunting him, that in death, Turtle lost his shell and swims circles around the room cursing like a demonic pancake.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is horrifying.
And Destiny one-ups him and tells about how most of her customers were ghosts and still carry the STDs from life permanently. There's no cure for these ghosts. I was a little confused about that. I'm pretty sure that's what he means, is that the ghosts' STDs are incurable. But at first I was like, these ghosts just pass on STDs to other people that can't be cured? That's terrible.
Right, that's what... I don't know which one it would be from the way it sounds.
I'm pretty sure it means that the ghosts just have the STDs and can't
So
be
every
cured.
time they have sex with anyone, they just pass it on.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what else would you
So is she
expect?
also a prostitute as well as a
No,
stripper?
she's just a stripper as far as I know.
Oh, but she wouldn't be getting those from them.
No, unless she was just consensually having sex with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because it said customers, so I was just a little confused.
Yeah, I think it's just a weird overlap thing, but nothing in the story gives me the impression that...
So, is the bearded clam housed by ghosts? Is
Yeah.
it haunted? Is that what the clientele is? Is
A lot of it. I don't think exclusively.
Oh, okay.
I think there were just a lot of people that died there from a previous event, and their ghosts just hang out.
Oh.
Somehow, this results in them planning a date after the end of her shift. She comes out dressed like a biker, and they get on her motorcycle. For safety, she gives him a dog collar and a leash and ties the other end around her waist. Human Fish thinks immediately this is a bad idea, but he doesn't say anything.
That sounds like a very bad idea
Yeah,
to
because
me.
if he falls off, that's just going to yank her right off with him. And the story even says
it's gonna
that.
choke him and kill him. It's not. It would be safer to roll off and just roll
Yeah.
than to be dragged. Okay.
Yeah. So they drive around dilapidated buildings around the town until they arrive at her dad's place, where she lives in the basement.
I hate to interrupt your flow, my dear sweet Bam Bam. Fish don't have necks.
Human fish do. Thought you got me, didn't you?
But I just keep imagining a fish head where the eyes are sticking straight up into the sky and it just blends into shoulder. I'm sorry. I can't, like I said, I can't really see pictures.
Totally
but I
understandable.
just have this vague impression of the top half of a goldfish sticking onto a man's shoulders.
Yeah, just imagine just from the neck up is just a fish. Like someone cut off a guy's head and put a fish on it.
But fish heads are
No,
big.
just the entire fish. Not just a fish head.
Wait.
Just the
the whole fish body is his head?
No, I'm just saying it would be easier for you to imagine it that way because he's got human hair, but it's all stringy and gross. Yeah.
I see when you have mermaids, at least one or the other half is properly fish, and the other half is properly human.
Yeah, this one's kind of a weird
The head only
blend.
is messing with me really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
And at least if you have a bull, bulls have necks. Horses have necks.
Yeah.
Fish don't have necks.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a fish that has a neck now, and I can't think of one.
This is a big old world. Maybe somewhere some fish has a neck. You know who else has necks? Lots of necks.
Our
They
sponsors,
have all the necks.
they'll sell you whatever neck you want. Long neck, skinny neck, fat neck, black neck, white neck. It's a regular old neck jamboree down here at the neck barn for $3.99. No money down, no cost to you up front. Come down to the neck
They
barn.
will solve the fishnet problem for you. Oh, maybe these advertisers will solve our fishneck problem.
Hopefully, it seems to be a terrible.
I'm stuck on this. I'm sorry.
Ads.
Ads. Hello, Biblio fans, friends, and fiends. Just taking a moment to tell you how to find our growing community. We're on Facebook and Instagram, where I try to post pretty often, and we have a subreddit that we will start using as soon as Bam Bam gets over his crippling fear of Reddit. And of course, our YouTube. Look us up at BiblioWrecks. We would love to hear suggestions and chat about bad books there, as well as over email, BiblioWrecks@gmail.com. That's spelled BiblioWrecks. Thank you for listening. Now let's get back to that bad book.
And we're back. And I've researched the fish neck thing, and there has never ever been a fish with a neck, and that is cited by several sources that I will never disclose.
It's just not something you really think about until something like this is just very weird.
I'll probably actually look it up later. So.
Oh, you didn't actually look it up?
No, I was lying.
You got me.
I was trying to do a funny.
You were so funny.
Editing Bam here. I actually did look it up, and it turns out there is a fish with a neck. It's called... I'm going to fuck this up so bad. Lepidogalaxius salamandroides. Or more simply, the salamander fish. And he's just a little guy, and he's got a neck. Just barely. He's just barely got a neck. And he lives in Australia because obviously that's where everything weird lives. Google it. It's adorable. It's my favorite now. Goodbye. So yeah, they get back to her dad's house and go to her room, which is in the basement of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it describes the house as like really gross and covered in trash, all that good stuff. About her basement room in particular, it says, it was a cement abyss, windowless and devoid of furniture aside from a mattress on the floor. It looked like a cave rather than a living space. There was rot in the cobwebbed corners that show through to the dirt and worms that lay beneath. It was a writhing and gleaming portrait of indestructible life. So at first when you get to this, you don't really think about the fact that she's just living in a basement. Like some people just kind of have an odd living situation and you know, nothing wrong with living in a basement.
And you kind of expect it to be a finished basement that has light and maybe a door to the outside. Because there's lots of very nice basements, but this is like a gross basement. This is like worse than my basement.
I'll give the quote for Jim's room now because I missed it earlier. The human fish peeked inside and saw a mattress on a platform up near the ceiling. Underneath was shoved full of garbage, from empty milk cartons to lottery tickets. There was a closet with a toilet, and the smell emanated like shit-scented perfume. The living room was even more unsettling. There were dust-laden mousetraps with moldy peanut butter and tiny skeletons. There were heavy plasticized curtains that kept out the street lights and kept in the grime. There were roaches cracked wide open and guts splattered against the plastic. I feel like this entire thing is just kind of showcasing what it is like to kind of be poor in America specifically. Because in my job, because I do a lot of driving and delivering and stuff like that, I see a lot of the ways that poorer people live.
Yeah.
And it really feels like this. Like I'm getting the same feeling from reading these descriptions as seeing some of these people's houses.
Right.
And it's just the dilapidation and at some point the light just went out in these people's eyes and they stopped caring. And it bums me out.
So it's like really visceral. It sounds like it's really well written and really takes you there.
That stuff is really well written and I feel like it's doing what it's intended to do.
Upset you.
Yeah, it's upsetting me. So later on we find out her dad used to lock her in this basement.
Oh.
Now, this first part of the story, it's going to try to paint him out as the good guy, or as like an okay guy. But yeah, he used to lock her in this basement, and when she came up, he would act like it was a treat, and she never knew what was really real or fake.
Right.
And that really comes up more later on in the story, but I wanted to bring it up since we were talking about the basement specifically.
Right. So he's actually abusive, but she thinks he's okay because he's her dad.
Yeah, that and just the living situation, she just kind of has to be okay with it. And I think that's just kind of a part of it, is you just have to convince yourself that you're okay with certain things.
Yeah.
Even if they're not okay.
Right.
They drink and talk. Destiny tells Human Fish about quitting school and spreading gonorrhea to her class and then becoming a stripper. And she says that she never had any role models. So we come back to role models again.
So it's this vague thing that you either have or you don't have, but we don't really know what it is. Like in the story, it's not really established what a role model is.
Or what a role model is supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah. There's also this one other line that kind of sets the mood a little bit. People are born tiny, wrinkled fetuses and leave possessed by demons. And that's something that Destiny says to Human Fish. And it's kind of just that line from Batman. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. So I feel like that's another theme that's trying to be established here. But I don't think that one's established as well. Especially considering the ending, which is just bizarre. So, in return, Human Fish talks to her about his caring mother. That brings Destiny back to talking about her dad being a cross-country trucker. And this is a quote from her. "He's a tough bastard, my dad. There was this one time when I was a kid, we went to see some movie, I can't even remember, and this guy a few rows away from us started masturbating. Oh, it was The Lion King. I remember now. Before I knew it... Before I knew it, my dad leaped back there and was punching the guy in the head, almost beat him to death. I can still picture the smile on his face as the man lay there bloodied and bashed. He was so proud of himself. I was proud of him too for defending the kids in the audience. On the drive home, though, he told me the reason he attacked was that the guy was jacking it to animals. He took that incredibly personal for some reason.
Huh?
Just wait. Don't. We'll get there. They start making out until Destiny's father comes down, because he was upstairs asleep. He comes down and grabs Human Fish by the scruff of his neck, and Human Fish feels for the first time what it's like to be reeled in.
I hate you.
Yeah, I hate me too.
I hate
this book. I think. I'm not sure. I'm still undecided about this book.
Like, it sounds like it's really well written, and it's just so bad at the same time.
Very well written. I will give this author that. He knows how to write and set a tone. I just hate the tone he has chosen to set.
Tone.
Here's another quote. The human fish thrashed like a drowning child caught in the undertow. And that's way too specific a thing to say if you haven't seen a child drown in the undertow of an ocean. So I feel like at least once Human Fish has just seen a kid drown. And
Probably.
That's just background. So Human Fish is being suffocated, and, quote, his adrenal gland went into overdrive, unquote, and oozes oil from his skin to escape. He gets stressed out and just excreting oil through his skin, so he gets all slimy and he slips away.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Human Fish and Destiny's dad start fighting until they both realize that they both look exactly the same.
What?
The dad, Jim, recognizes that he must be Taffy's son.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a goddamn minute.
Have you put it together?
He beat someone up for masturbating to animals, but he's himself half animal.
No. Human Fish's human features look the same as Destiny's dad, Jim.
So Destiny's dad is not half fish.
No. He's a guy.
But how would you be able to tell they have the same features if it's just his body?
Yeah, I don't know.
And not his face.
I'm very confused about it. But the story does say... I think that was just partly done. It does say that they look the same, and they both, at the same time, establish, oh...
You're my dad.
You're my dad. So
that Princess Leia and Luke kiss is really awkward in hindsight.
Yeah, and it just happened too. Like, at least Luke and Leia had a little bit to just enjoy that it happened before they found out that they were related. Here are some quotes from Jim while he's talking to Human Fish and recalling Human Fish's mother, Taffy. We called her Taffy because her body was sweet and from salt water. Too much information, thought the Human Fish. Taffy put out for all us fishermen back in the day. She told us that if we stopped sticking our hooks down in your business, she would let us have sex with her. Ah, but that many years and brain cells ago, never imagined she'd have a kid.
But fish don't have sex like people. They
No.
lay eggs, and then the boy fish come along and fertilize the eggs.
Yeah.
They don't meet and...
No. I guess he just shoved it in the fish's cloaca and...
Mouth?
I guess. I don't know.
That makes more sense.
It doesn't really go into that much detail.
I don't want to...
Yeah. Way too much information, thought the Human Fish.
Way too much
Correctly.
information, thought the human bugs.
We got one more.
No!
I guess she had a net in her belly, one that caught my sperm and morphed into, well, you. Way too much information, thought the Human Fish. Yeah, it's just, anytime he brings up his mom, he just starts getting real gross, and it happens at least one other time that I can remember.
No.
So yeah, it might have been a weird kind of guilt thing when he was beating up some guy in a theater for masturbating to lions.
What he did to a fish?
Yeah, kind of a weird double standard. So
Okay. I can't believe I'm saying this.
Yeah.
I really apologize. I recently re-listened to Tainted Tales and Rotten Rhymes. That fishing,
is it given
that
the
fishing story where the guy had sex with the fish lady? At least that anatomically worked better than this. That was an awful story. That was such a bad story.
Yeah.
That entire book was so bad, but at least anatomically that made more sense. And I'm really struggling with this here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a guy having sex with a fish. I don't think you're supposed to think about it too much. So,
I just don't like this.
no, I don't like it either. So after all this, human fish is welcomed, and Destiny remarks what a relief it is that they only kissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Leia. So Jim starts talking about his job as a truck driver, because he's a cross-country truck driver. Mm-hmm. And Human Fish asks if he can go with him, like on a trip, I guess just to do some daddy fish bonding. Mm-hmm. And this is much to Destiny's chagrin. She thinks it's a terrible idea and that they shouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. She's right.
Yeah.
Jim, of course, agrees and gives Human Fish the name Igor or Igor.
Igor.
I don't know why.
Because Igor's ugly.
Well, yeah, he's ugly. But I don't know why the story stops to establish that this guy is giving the human fish a name, because the story never uses it. And Jim only uses it twice. He uses it here and then at the end of his and human fish's relationship. Mm-hmm. So it never hardly gets used. So it's barely even a thing. So
Okay.
I don't know why it was brought up.
Does it help establish that this guy is taking responsibility for manfish?
I don't know.
Or, making him a part of the family? Because, oh, your nickname is such and such. You're part of the
maybe
family
a
now.
token piecemeal thing, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, it's not, made into a thing of,
No.
this is your role model now, and he gave you a name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think at the end I guess it could be interpreted at the end he's using it to, try to hurt human fish, but it doesn't come off that way. It's just,
Gotcha.
I don't know. And the next day, they get into the truck, which is, of course, disgusting. Mm-hmm. All kinds of trash, dog shit. They have a dog with them the whole time, but the dog rarely comes up.
Oh, okay.
It's a 3-legged dog, and the dog is old and depressing because everything in the story is dying and...
It's manfish, right? Or fish man?
Human fish.
Human fish. God. Human fish, he already hates pet dogs. Mm-hmm. So how does he deal with this?
Mostly just ignores them.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. This doesn't cause conflict?
No, not really.
Oh.
The dog at one point kind of tries to bite him a little bit, but it's not really a thing.
You smell like my dinner.
Yeah. So yeah, the truck's disgusting. There's no AC. It's just incredibly uncomfortable, etc., etc. And then they start taking shrooms and trip balls going down the road to make the trip more enjoyable.
Oh, that don't sound safe.
It's super not. So yeah, they're going down the road and they're tripping balls, seeing colors and shit. Mm-hmm. And Jim starts telling Human Fish about how he and Taffy met again, and how when he found out that she was pregnant, he just fled, and he apologizes. But Taffy did a good job raising you, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Human Fish asks why he doesn't feel bad, and Jim says that he has shallow roots, so he's just he never really makes any connections or anything like that, and he always just leaves.
Gotcha.
So Human Fish starts cycling into the depressive thinking. The world of man is a shit-spewing volcano is one of his thoughts.
Yeah, not wrong.
Yeah. Later, Jim asks if Human Fish slept with Destiny through a series of awful innuendos. He asked, did you crabfish in the Dead Sea? And Human Fish doesn't understand any of these.
Right.
And he says, did you slam the salmon? Did you release the kraken?
Oh my god.
And does 7 of those. It just keeps going until he figures out that Human Fish is a virgin.
Which is partly why he's not getting the innuendos.
Right. So Jim pulls off at a motel to signal a lot lizard. You know what a lot lizard is?
I vaguely remember when I worked at a gas station that it was a put down to call a lady that.
Yeah, it's a prostitute. A lot lizard is a prostitute.
Yeah, I don't know if we actually had any at our gas station because it was like a really small truck stop.
Yeah, it might not have. But so this lot lizard is a literal lot lizard.
Literally lizard person? Mm-hmm. Lizard human.
Yeah, so this is another instance of an animal person that is just barely regarded, even though like it was kind of a novelty when it was human fish.
Right.
But now there's this lizard person that is just working as a hooker.
And people are just, yep, that's
just how it be.
Do we get her name?
Nope. She was like in there for a second. She's in there to like jump in the truck, and she's just like, "I want to take your innocence," and does like the snake noise, even though she's a lizard.
The hell? What?
And then human fish just runs away, and he goes to the motel and locks the door behind him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a whole weird thing.
Yeah, that's all kind of rapey. That's not, like, cool.
Yeah, I don't think a prostitute is actually that interested in having sex with anyone, especially a virgin.
Regardless, the dad being the one saying, we're doing this right now. And then the lizard lady being like, haha, we're doing this now. Both of those are bad behaviors.
Yeah. Not taking human fish's consent into account at all.
Exactly, because I understand there's that trope of you're 18, I'm going to make a man of you, you're going to get a girl, and that action makes you a man. But it's still not, it's still rape if he's not ready for it and doesn't want it.
Yeah. I mean, even the trope is problematic, but we won't get into that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like it's completely separate.
Right. So yeah, they go to the motel, and it's disgusting. But this is disgusting on like a whole nother level than any motel I've ever been in.
Oh no,
the human
bed bugs that are part human.
It's kind of identical to the thing with Jim's room. The motel room is kind of just the same vibe, just different descriptions and stuff like that. One thing in particular is like there's dirty diapers like shoved into the pillows. And just a bunch of other gross shit.
Yeah.
So
like watching the TV show Hoarders.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you don't live that way, it's like, how could someone live that way? You know, and it's just really like visceral, and you can almost smell it just by looking at it.
Yeah. So it doesn't bear repeating too much, but yeah, everything, all the rooms and stuff that they go to on this trip are like disgusting in various ways.
Right.
And the next day they continue until Jim tries to pee in a cup while driving.
Okay.
And he hits a bump, spilling piss everywhere.
Oh.
So Jim pulls off and goes into the woods to change. Human fish sees a huge rat climb into the trailer, so he goes into the trailer to run it off. Only to find that what Jim is hauling is drugs and guns.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Then the cranked out pregnant rat grabs him by the leg with its teeth, and yeah.
Ew. What?
It's just a giant pregnant rat, and it's just cracked out on drugs and very violent.
How did the rat get drugs?
I guess it got into one of the boxes and started eating some of the drugs.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so just vicious, huge rat bites his ankle.
Yeah. So he like kicks it off, and there's a whole fight thing. It doesn't matter. Yeah, he kicks the rat out, and then he confronts Jim. Jim explains that this was supposed to be his retirement fund, and he would cut human fish in at 20%.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I don't know why he wants human fish on this trip with him at all.
Because if he didn't take him, he wouldn't have to cut him in or worry about human fish going and telling anyone.
Right, and
it doesn't seem like the companionship is helping him in any way.
No, it's not.
Right.
And, like, I guess you would think, like, oh, well, he's actually making an attempt to treat him like a child of his. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what the intention was there.
It doesn't sound like many of the characters have authentic motivations in this. Like, I understand it's pretty well written. The descriptions are really good. The world building is pretty good.
Yeah, the only...
It doesn't feel like the characters are driving anything. They just get whims or things just happen. And nobody has, like, a sense of drive in themselves.
Yeah, the only clear motivation we get, and it's still a kind of murky one, is human fish wanting to get to know his dad.
Right.
And even that's still kind of vague in a lot of ways, because it never really goes into like what he wants to do with that information when he gets it, or how he wants to establish a relationship or anything like that.
Right.
So it's kind of weird. So yeah, human fish doesn't want to involve himself with drugs because, you know, his past, but he wants his dad's affection, so he agrees.
Right.
And human fish feels vulnerable and like he needs Jim at this point, and he resents him for it. So Jim explains to human fish that he doesn't have birth documents or any kind of paperwork or anything like that, so he has to hide in the cargo now, even though he never brought that up before or anything like that.
Are they going through state lines or something
Yeah,
now?
they're going across state lines.
Oh, okay.
I think they're going from like Colorado to Texas or something. They never make it there, so it doesn't matter.
Right, but I was just wondering if like they were going through a way station or something where somebody would see him.
Yeah, they're
and
getting
have questions.
They're going through like security stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, for the rest of the trip, anytime they're driving, he has to be in the back of the trailer, hiding on top of the drugs, crumpled up in a little box.
Oh, that's awful.
And they travel until they reach a bed and breakfast where the blind owner prophesies. The blind owner prophesies to human fish that it will be a hard trip and he should just go home. But he already knows that human fish isn't going to listen, so never mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, that was a nothing.
Although, that's better than the way most predictions go, because they tell you, this is what will happen, and they don't ever, like, actually say, you're not going to listen to me, never mind. Like, that's actually pretty funny.
So, human fish gets the overwhelming...
You cannot talk today.
I cannot talk today.
Your tongue
I
is
took
just...
a nap in the middle of the day, and it fucked me up.
I should have made it better.
It doesn't work for me, apparently. I can only sleep in the dark, or else it doesn't work. Human fish gets the overwhelming feeling that he needs to go home, but he resolves to continue this trip with his dad.
Okay.
And the next day, as they're traveling, human fish is in the trailer, and they get caught this time.
Oh.
He gets pulled over, and human fish rolls on Jim immediately.
Oh, they search the back and find him?
As soon as they find him, he's just like, it's his fault. And he says that Jim fish napped him.
How many of these are there? Is that what most of this book is?
I don't remember how many more there are.
Oh
It's
my
fine.
God.
So yeah, they take them both to jail. Human fish gets a lawyer who says human fish is clearly too ignorant and stupid to actually have anything to do with this, and Jim must have just stolen him as like a black market thing, and he was going to sell him. So human fish gets off on this, and Jim gets an extra charge now.
Right.
And later on, human fish actually decides to be a lawyer because of this guy.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't really focus in on this too much, but human fish has just made this lawyer that's in there for like a couple of lines his role model.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But it never, like, it doesn't focus on this guy, like, at all. And I feel like that it should have been focused on.
If that is what affects his future career choices.
Yeah.
And had this much, like, effect on his life.
Yeah, I felt like that should have been highlighted a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he gets released, and on his way out...
It was a catch and release.
It was a catch and release. He did one.
Or was it a bait and switch?
On his way out... human fish meets a family of mole people outside.
What? How many animal people are in this world?
Unclear.
Oh my god.
So they're celebrating the release of one of their relatives from jail. So they treat human fish to some worm and listen to a sob story and tell him that he needs closure. Mm-hmm. And this convinces human fish that he needs to go back into jail and talk to Jim.
Closure for what?
I guess all of his trauma that he's experienced on this trip, he needs to immediately go and have closure about it, like right now.
That's not how that works. And like, I mean, what real trauma? I mean, he got caught by the cops and got thrown into jail overnight, and that was very recent. But most of the rest of it just seemed kind of vaguely bad. It wasn't necessarily big T trauma, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Okay.
Basically, all they do is Jim is just kind of mean to human fish. Mm-hmm. Human fish tells Jim what a piece of shit he is.
Right.
And that's basically all it amounts to. I do want to go over what Jim says, though. Mm-hmm. Quote, "I want to tell you a story," he said. And they're doing the thing with the phones.
Yeah.
"I used to have hemorrhoids. Being on the road, my eating habits weren't the best. One day, I noticed the blood in my stool and the little peanut-sized veins poking out of my rear. They grew to the size of overripe strawberries. I had a long delivery to make, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I couldn't even sit down. The pain was so bad. So you know what I did? I mixed a bunch of oxys and some wild turkey. I took a razor blade and a tiny hand mirror and cut those hemorrhoids out myself. I left those bloody anal beads on the floor of the motel bathroom and drove cross-country the next day without looking back." Jim leaned in closer to the window. "To me, Igor, you're no different than those goddamn hemorrhoids." I don't know what grander meaning that would have in the story, but it's a very funny paragraph to read.
I'm gonna murder you. I did not need to hear that sentence. No one needed to hear that sentence. No,
this was a totally selfish thing on my part. You didn't need to hear it, but I needed to say it.
Oh, and you know what? That's why we need a $15 an hour minimum wage for the poor staff, housekeeping staff that had to go in that bathroom and clean that up.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. So yeah, human fish basically just tells Jim that he's human garbage and to eat shit and die, and then he leaves. And Jim promptly has a heart attack. No clue if he lives. He has a heart attack and they take him away. And human fish never sees him again. We never revisit him in the story.
And human fish doesn't care because he told him to fuck
eat
off
shit
and
die.
die?
Yeah.
Oh, so he got his closure then.
Yeah, real easy. I wish therapy was that easy.
Yeah, I wish I could get closure that easy. Yeah. Damn.
On the way out, human fish comes across Destiny, who has come to pick up the dog.
I'm still stuck on these hemorrhoids. I'm just remembering. Okay, little side tangent. You can cut this out if you want.
Okay.
Do you know about in the Old Testament when they came out of Egypt, the Jews came out of Egypt, they had built the tabernacle that they were carrying around, and all these other countries kept stealing their tabernacle, right? These people would steal it and then they'd go get it back. And those people would steal it and they'd bring it back. And whenever people would steal the tabernacle, it would cause them to have curses. Because it was supposed to belong to the Jews, not random other countries,
right,
or other tribes.
The heathen among them and all that.
Right. So this one tribe got a hold of the tabernacle, and it gave them a curse. So in order to undo the curse, they had to make statues, golden statues, of the curse, and return the tabernacle with those gold statues. The curses were hemorrhoids and rats.
Oh my god.
They made...
At the same time?
Separate.
Okay.
It was at the same time, concurrently.
Not in the same area
but
of
not
the body.
the same body parts,
okay.
Correct.
That's good.
They made little tiny golden statues of hemorrhoids and little tiny golden statues of rats.
That's actually, I won't give the Bible many props, but that is good comedy writing.
And they gave it with the tabernacle back. And you have to read the really obscure King James and then look up the original meaning of those words to get that story, because other translations really like to gloss it over.
Yeah, I guess no one really likes talking about hemorrhoids at church.
No.
One could also say people just don't like talking about hemorrhoids in general, so...
Right, because buttholes are considered gross.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the hemorrhoids.
I just couldn't stop thinking about if you found them cut off of his bum, that's how you could make a golden hemorrhoid.
Oh my god.
Because I always imagined, how would you make a golden statue of a hemorrhoid? You couldn't if it was attached to someone.
I wonder if that was like a treatment. Maybe that was like a deep cut. Oh, I guess it was a deep cut.
Deep cut!
Anyway.
Moving on.
Moving on. So yeah, on the way out of the prison, Human Fish sees Destiny, and she's there to pick up the dog, and she doesn't give a shit about her dad. She doesn't even want to go see him. Just knowing that he's in jail is closure enough for her.
Oh, wow. So he was a bastard to her, too.
Yeah. No, she says the only reason that she became a stripper was because her dad wanted to get close to her boss, who was the drug dealer that he was working for. And that guy, the owner of the strip club, was named Cristiano. And yeah, he just wanted his daughter to work for him so that he could sell drugs for him.
Gotcha. That's gross.
Yeah,
That's
it's real
basically
gross.
pimping out your kid.
Yep.
That's really gross.
Yeah, it is. On the way out.
You know what's not gross? What is not disgusting? In any way, what is pure and wholesome and lovely?
Preparation H. We got the Preparation H sponsor. I saw that email. I didn't think we'd actually get it, but it's good that we actually got through on that one. I'm proud of us.
Yay!
Preparation H.
Better for your bum.
Yeah.
And we're back from that beautiful, wholesome, lovely ad break.
You can't say wholesome. If it was a Preparation H ad and it was wholesome, we can't do that.
You're a butthole.
So yeah, they're leaving the...
I would throw you back.
That's what my dad used to say.
What? Really?
Well, he said he would put me back.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a bit different.
Yeah, they're leaving. The prison guards are trying to run off the Mole People family, who refuse to be run off.
Okay.
So a fight breaks out that ends with snipers killing this entire mole family.
Oh my god.
I don't know what this is for. It's vicious. It's brutal. Like, these mole people are getting beaten and shot and are fighting these prison guards, and then they just all die in a hail of sniper fire.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. I don't know what it was for. I don't know what this means.
Okay. I don't know, because I didn't read the story. Is some of this other species, people, hybrids, are those stand-ins for races?
I don't know.
And racism stuff?
Well, there are only like 2 other instances of human-animal things that go on. One was the lot lizard, and this one is the human mole people, or the mole people.
Right.
So there's not enough information coming from them to suggest like any kind of racial stand-in happening.
Okay. Because that's what I was wondering, like...
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was just really bizarre and out of nowhere.
Yeah, horrifying.
Yeah. Which I get, like, the prison guards just being dicks to people
In
outside.
general.
Yeah. And, I just don't know what this was for. It was brutal and awful to read, and I don't understand it. So, yeah, Destiny and Human Fish just get out of there.
So, does he
'Cause
ride
people
in
are
her
dying.
car with her?
They're riding the motorcycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just abandoned the truck because I guess it got impounded by...
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, they go back, the dog, Human Fish, and her, and I can't remember, the leash is brought back out again, and I don't know who's wearing it this time. So yeah, they get back home and are very quickly picked up by Cristiano, the drug dealer guy.
Okay.
They're picked up by his men and taken to a warehouse. Cristiano blames Human Fish for the shipment going south, and is going to send Destiny through a meat grinder to torture him.
What the hell? That.
Well, yeah, send her through a meat grinder and torture him separately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So it goes into like a whole big fight scene that I'm not really going to go into, but this is just kind of human fish like just losing his shit for a little bit. So human fish like tackles him while he's monologuing, and the fight ends with him and Destiny grinding the bodies to chum to the sharks, and then human fish finally returns to the sea.
oh, this was the big finale. This was.
Sort of. No, there's more.
Oh.
It should have ended there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like, fuck this shit. I hate humanity. I'm going back to the fish in the sea.
At the same time, it's kind of just moving back in with Mom, too. And that's not really a sad... Like, that's kind of a returning to the womb
But
thing.
he wouldn't have to move back in with his mom. The ocean is huge.
I think that it's just the metaphor. It just doesn't
Okay.
stretch out to that far.
Right.
So I think it's just returning to the ocean so that he can get his shit together and heal, and then he comes back out. So years pass, and Human Fish has gotten a job as a lawyer.
Oh.
And I think this is kind of Airbud logic. Like, there's no rules saying that a fish man can't be a lawyer, so I guess
Wait,
it's fine.
So he's back on land as a lawyer? Did he go to law school?
Presumably?
Okay.
I don't know. It's been...
So he
it's
spent unknown amount of time in the ocean and then came back and has spent unknown amount of time on land and is now lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
Destiny has also gotten her shit together in this time. Like, cleaned up the house and, taken the dog to the vet and taken care of the dog a lot better. And joined the Peace Corps.
Oh, that's cool.
Human Fish takes Destiny to meet his mom, the fish.
Wait, takes her?
Takes Destiny to meet...
But
Taffy?
Destiny breathes...
I think she just goes to the beach.
Oh.
Yeah.
Doesn't go underwater.
No.
Okay.
And it keeps... At this point, it keeps feeling like they're gonna hook up, but thankfully they don't.
Yeah, this is starting to feel like a move-in together montage. But they're brother and sister.
Yeah.
Half siblings.
Yeah. No, it super felt like that, but it never did.
Okay.
Gladly, yeah.
So they just stayed family.
Yeah, it's
siblings,
just weird.
chill. Okay.
It just feels weird.
Okay.
So the last chapter just goes kind of wild.
We should be winding down. Like, at the end of the book, we're at the last chapter. We should be winding down.
That would be the normal thing to do.
Yeah.
This does not wind down. It ramps up a
Oh,
lot.
really?
Yeah. This very self-contained story will go to, like, cosmic proportions in, like, a page or two.
Huh.
One night, the human fish had a dream. In the dream, there was a whale in the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean. It seemed like an ordinary whale from the outside, but there was more at work than met the eye. Inside of the whale was a man, in a steel chamber confined within the whale's skull. Their brains were connected through the cerebellum by wires of stringy flesh. The man was using the whale to protect him from harm, but was also controlling it. When he turned his head left, the whale went left. When he turned his head right, the whale went right. Outside of the whale were all kinds of explosives and booby-trapped harpoons. The whale was impaled and exploded, but continued to chug ahead. It kept going until it slid onto the shore and the man exited out of its mouth. The whale was in pieces and the man harvested it and used it to feed his family. Then, when they were hungry again, the man returned to the ocean. Another whale swallowed him and the process repeated. The human fish woke with an epiphany. That was a lot. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that
considering
is...
the rest of it.
Okay. I guess give us the rest of it and then I can come back to it.
Yeah, so he goes into politics at this point. He fixes the world with a trash economy. And this somehow, I think it's like a buyback program, but with garbage. Like, it's just a kind of a program just to clean up the ocean, and they pay you for it.
Okay.
Everyone becomes rich, and he buys food for the hungry, buys shelter for the homeless, buys parents for orphans. He does it all, fixes everything.
Fixes the world.
Everything becomes solar. He becomes president of 4 separate countries. Yeah, this shit goes weird. The sun was God because everything's solar now. He creates utopias across the galaxies, and the humans and fish coexisted. So here's my final quote that I have. Water consumed the world like one giant sea spilling across all surfaces. Every creature grew stronger from the water. Water was everything. Humans were oceans. Earth was a giant orb of crystal blue glowing from the center. But that glow wasn't there until the human fish was born. Before that, there was only darkness. Now there was light. I don't know what the fuck this last chapter is. I don't know how to judge it. I don't know how to...
It doesn't belong at all.
No. It should have ended back when he returned to the sea. That would have been the sensible ending.
Yeah.
Maybe after...
Because nothing that came before led to this.
And it doesn't have anything to do with role models.
No.
Other than the lawyer thing, which wasn't looked at hardly.
Which I can understand. Gross, dirty. We see all the disgusting things. Oh, I want to create a system where we save the planet and get rid of all the trash. That kind of follows, but none of the other stuff does.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Yeah, I don't... That's how it ends. I don't...
Okay, then. Alrighty.
So, there were a few spelling errors and stuff like that. Sometimes he would forget to say human fish, and he would just say the human.
Oh.
And he didn't know which human it was, so you just had to... I mean, it's an easy enough assumption to make, but it just makes everything a little bit less clear in this already foggy book. I love the language. I like how this author sets the mood of everything.
Yeah, it sounds like it's very well described. Like the set dressing is really good.
And I feel like this guy has enough experience in life to kind of give you like a proper presentation of what reality is, like warts and all, and I really like that. But this just feels unfocused and weird for weirdness sake. Published through Eraserhead Publishing. And I feel like that's kind of just their brand, is to have bizarre books.
Right.
So if the intention is to leave you with a weird, bizarre feeling, does that make it good?
Match. Well, and the ending doesn't match that feeling either.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm mostly just talking about, like, overall.
Right.
Like, if the intention was to make you feel weird, does that make it a success?
Yeah. If that was the goal and it achieved its goal, yeah, I think so.
But I feel like it was well done. I just don't think it was good.
Right. It wasn't for you.
Yeah.
It wasn't. You were not the audience that would enjoy it, I guess.
I guess. I mean, there were things I liked about it, but I don't know. I'm going to give this a very neutral C.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of guessing. Like, you didn't enjoy the content, but the presentation was good. It is a very fancy, well-plated raw egg.
Yeah, this is... Someone went through the trouble to carve out little shapes out of Spam and decorate the plate with that goo stuff that's in Spam in a very artful way. And I don't want to eat this plate ever again.
Right.
So that was something. It was an experience.
That was an experience, man. I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Because lately I haven't had time to do a book report for a while, so I really appreciate you pulling and making up the slack. Yeah. And this was interesting. This was definitely a ride.
Yeah, I kind of want to go into this more and try to kind of nail down the genre a little better, because it's just weird. I don't know if this is normal for this genre or not.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Well, give us your suggestions, give us your comments, and we really appreciate you listening with us today. We will catch you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
My voice is ruined.
Yeah, my goodness.